It's a little cooler day today and a day that I can have the oven on, so I'm gonna make some homemade lasagna. And that involves making some homemade noodles. I've got my tomato sauce from my homegrown tomatoes from last year. I've got ricotta and mozzarella cheese, both homemade. And it ends up being the most delicious lasagna that you can imagine. My grandmother was an Italian. She had German heritage, but she was known for her homemade spaghetti sauce from scratch. I say from scratch because it's to be contrasted with the way most spaghetti sauce is made these days, straight from a can or jar in its final herbed and cooked down state, or even already on a ready-made meal. It's interesting how traditions change over time as technology changes and people's ways of life change. At one time, everyone made tomato sauce from homegrown tomatoes, and according to my Italian friend, it's still that way for a lot of Italians. My grandma made sauce from canned tomatoes because she didn't have time to grow and make her own sauce really from scratch, but it was a very good recipe and my mother still uses it to make spaghetti. I've broken with family tradition since becoming an avid gardener and making the time and space for growing my own sauce. Now, at some time in August, when the tomatoes are at their peak of ripeness, I spend days canning my harvest into sauce, juice, and salsa. And from that plain tomato sauce, I eventually prepare my own spaghetti sauce with additional homegrown ingredients like garlic, onions, and herbs, even local wild-crafted herbs like bergamot. This is the sauce that I'm using in this lasagna. My Italian friend Erica has told me about the recipe her mother made, which actually includes pureed carrots as a main ingredient, in almost the same proportion as the tomatoes. Erica has turned me on to a lot of Italian foods I didn't know anything about, and I've threatened to publish a cookbook of her recipes called Recipes I Stole from an Italian Woman. I mean, carrots in a marinara sauce? Maybe I'm just ignorant, but I'd never heard of that or even considered it. But I've had the sauce and it's a perfect marriage of flavors, carrots and tomatoes, both sweet. Italy is such an incredible place for food. It's the birthplace of many of our staples in America, but we don't even know what real Italian food tastes like because we can't get the same ingredients. They might look the same, but they don't taste the same. The grains they use for flour in their pasta and pizza crust in Italy are traditional varieties. Our food ingredients in the US are modern varieties largely grown for maximum yield and shipment across the world, not for flavor. It's a great way of giving people a lot of cheap, mediocre to bad food that's really unhealthy. But in Italy, the food is still good because people are reluctant to give up their old ways because they know they will be sacrificing flavor. The slow food movement started in Italy. The fear of immigrants in this country is really unwarranted. Cultures have a way of hybridizing in the same way that plants do. Plants display something called hybrid vigor when they cross, where the offspring of very different varieties display greater strength and productivity. The same thing happens when cultures mix. You get more than the sum of the parts. We can only benefit from the mixing of cultures and the sharing of technologies and ideas. Growing up, I never had much of an ancestral tradition to follow because most of my culture came from pop culture, and that was totally disconnected from the land and reality. I've had to learn a lot of old ways from books and what I could learn from people hands-on. The old ways are by and large the more sustainable ways of doing things, which is why I think we need to create new traditions that relearn and keep the old ones going. So what I'm grating up here is my own local organic raw milk mozzarella. Delicious. So good. Alright, so it's time to put the lasagna in. Unfortunately, I still have a little glitch with my water system, so I have this irrigation pipe that I'm using to pump out of my cistern going right across the stove. I moved it out of the way so that I can actually open my oven now. But it's time to put this lasagna in. I also expect this to really puff up a lot, and so it's probably going to start spilling out the top of this casserole. I also made a smaller one over here with sort of all the leftovers. I'm going to put those in, and I'll put a cookie tray in the bottom to catch anything that might drip off, which I guarantee something's going to drip off of this. Let's see what it looks like so far. Still got a ways to go. Just to get it crispy on top. Alright. Whew. Yeah, I think we're ready here. Get it out of here without spilling it on this one. I love it like this with the cheese a little bit brown and crispy on top. It's gonna be good. It's gonna be really good. Just have to let it fall, and then we can try something. Homemade lasagna is just so beautiful. It looks really good. My mouth is watering. I can't wait to eat it. All right, we're ready to cut a little piece off of this and see what it tastes like. Texture's good. I usually like to wait until it cools down a little bit because it can be a little bit runny at first. Looks good. Looks like perfect texture. Let's give it a little try. Hot. Gotta let it cool off a little bit. But really tasty, really good. You can taste that mozzarella, and it's so stretchy. It's gonna be even better reheated later on, because obviously this is way more than I can eat right now. I think I'm gonna freeze a bunch of it. Usually that's what I do. I freeze it and then I can pull them out, stick them in the solar oven, heat them up. Quick lunch. All right. That's really good. Gotta give some to the puppy. Here you go, puppy. She's been whining. She's been going, don't forget about the puppy dog. I gotta get some lasagna too. Good girl. Good girl, Vange. Is that good, huh? You like that? So as they say on all the cool YouTube channels, smash the like button and don't forget to subscribe. Share it with your friends, and don't forget to follow the Hardcore Sustainable Facebook page too. Smash the like button, yeah, smash it.